So I'd like to not necessarily make a new YouTube video every 10 minutes, and I've figured out the only way I'm going to accomplish that is I'm going to have to stop watching Sye Ten Bruggencate videos. So Sye likes to say that in our naturalistic worldview we can't account for the laws of logic and the uniformity of nature. And I always find it interesting, I know I've covered this before, but that the very people who postulate a suspension of the uniformity of nature are the ones saying that we can't account for it, right? So, but I mean, of course, you know, and of course we'll go on and we'll say, well, you know, these laws, the uniformity of nature, laws of logic, these are basically concepts that we've constructed around our observation of the world around us, and that, you know, past experience is gives us a reasonable expectation of future events in those areas. And he'll say, well, if that holds true, then I should be able to assume that I'm never going to die because I've never died in the past. And of course, this is a terribly composed argument, and it's disingenuous, I think, really, you know, to think that that would be the conclusion you'd come to when every human being in the history of human existence has died, and you're basically chemically and materially the same, that would be the conclusion that you would come to, that you're not going to die. Anyway, I mean, obviously, that's what these arguments are built around, is that it's not that 66% of the time we've found in history that the laws of logic have held constant, or 72% of the time we've noticed that nature is uniform. It's 100% of the time. That's why we've developed these laws, because that's essentially all we've observed. And to Sye, this is not being able to account for it. Of course, he's able to account for it because it said something in a book somewhere, and I'm not sure that it said anything about the uniformity of nature, because again, that's the very book that talks about the suspension of the uniformity of nature. And he'll go on too, he'll talk about the laws of logic and say things like, you know, how do you know that the sentence you're saying now is going to mean the same thing 5 minutes from now? Especially since he likes to say that, given our worldview, constant change is a property of the universe, so why wouldn't logic change? Well, nobody said that a property of logic is that it's constantly changing. It's just a property of the universe. And it's not necessarily that it's constantly changing. It has the potential to constantly change. Some things don't change, or they don't change very much. You know, so potential change is a property of the universe, but there's no reason to say that because one thing has this property that then everything else must share that property. It's completely ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with saying, well, you know, there's laws of logic that we've observed. They have exhibited no changing properties. They are always constant, and we have a universe that has these basic just physical processes that are constantly changing, but that they operate within the framework of the uniformity of nature and the laws of logic, and that's all we've ever observed 100% of the time. And so, and even in a person's lifespan, of course, this is the same thing, right? You know, it's ridiculous to say that this sentence I'm saying now might not mean the same thing in 5 minutes from now, when that's all I've ever experienced the entirety of my life. So I will say this, I'd like in on the lottery. The lottery that says that from the moment you're born, every split second, there's a winning lottery number, and it's always the same number. Every second, the same number, the same number, the same number. For your entire life until you're, say, 40 something, and then you have an opportunity to buy that lottery ticket. I'd like in on that lottery ticket, and I think Sye would too. Thanks for watching.